This is going to be a quick video showing exactly how I've done all of these mods to the bike. As you can see, new exhaust system. Got a car clamp on it at the moment because I'm still waiting for the right size one in the post. Right, firstly, I'll start with the tail tidy that I made because a lot of people ask about this. Really, with the old one, you've got to pretty much unbolt it from these here, take all the green stuff off, all the green fairings, take all of this off, and then there'll be a metal bracket there with a metal tubes coming back out. You've got to pretty much take that out. You don't need to cut that off, you just take that off, and then what you do is what I did is I got the plastic that was originally there and then cut it as like a bit of a shield for the electrics here. And then what I did was I got a toolbox and I cut some plastic out on it and bended it to shape so it'd fit there. Drilled some holes in it, and then off the old tail I got the indicator holders, and then cut that off the old mount and then bolted them onto this one so the indicators don't fly around because all they're on is plastic. It does take a good hour or two, especially if you're making your own tail tidy, but it's okay. It looks alright and for the time being until I buy an actual one, but just being a handmade bit of plastic, it seems okay. Also, another thing that I need to talk about is the jetting. Here's a carb. I know the majority of these bikes now, well, most Lexmotos do come out of the factory a little bit lean. They're quite under-jetted, and well, it's mainly just the Venoms which are under-jetted. So I think it's a 92 jet or a 93 when you first buy the bike, and when I first bought this bike it used to just chug and run terribly when I got it, and when I first got it I didn't know that much about bikes. So what I did was I took it to the dealer. They said, oh, it's just because it's been broken, it's nothing. And I did some research of my own and found out what it is the jetting. So I decided to upjet it to a 98, and it was like a completely different bike. It was miles better, it's better acceleration, a lot smoother, no chugging. It was just like going from a little 125 to a 500. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. So since then I used to what I did then is I then bought an exhaust, and then I bought this filter here. It's a Ram Air 42mm double foam filter. It's all oiled and everything, and I fitted that, and then I put it to a 106 jet, which was perfect. But I'd say for people that haven't done any mods or filters or jets, they're probably the best jet to be at is probably about around 100, just with no mods, and with a filter about 4 to 6, maybe a bit lower if you want to. And then with an exhaust I'd say anything upwards from 105 to 112, which is probably perfect with the whole system and all that. So foam filter and exhaust system, depending on your exhaust, the best jetting will probably be around 110, and then with the slide needle on the middle position and the mixer screw, which is there at the around 2.5 turns out. See here, I've taken the carb apart that many times that the threading went on these bolts, so I had to put a nut through and then bolt it on. Also there as well, the threading went on that, so that shows how many times I've done it. But also here's where, this is the Crankcase Breather which I made. Got this tube off eBay for about a £5, this little filter for a couple quid from I think it was Halfords I got this filter from. It's in better shape now though, I've had it for quite a while. But that's for when you remove the EGR, I'll explain that now. That's where the EGR valve used to be, and then what you do is, there used to be a pipe coming out of here which for the exhaust gases going into the EGR, and then go into the EGR, follow through, go into the carburetor up there, and then it'd go into the airbox. And obviously as I remove the airbox, I also remove the EGR at the same time, and what it does is it's sort of de-restricting the bike. You're not reusing exhaust gases anymore, because what an EGR does is it just puts your exhaust gases in your intake, which you don't really want. So I removed all that, and then obviously for the crankcase breather it's best to get a little filter on the end, or you can just leave the normal stock pipe which in there, which is fine to be honest, but I thought I'd do something a little bit different. And then I've got a little bit of exhaust wrapping on the exhaust. That's just to get better insulation and better heat for like the initial sort of bit of the exhaust. Also, this is a little horn I got, I think it's off Wish. It's only £5. It's just sounds more like a car horn and not like the high pitched ones that are normally on bikes. I'll show you what that's like now. Yeah, as you can see, it's quite much louder and deeper than normal ones. They're just a couple of little stickers on the forks. Well, as you can see where I've used zip ties and Jubilee clips to bolt or to tighten the exhaust wrap on. Apparently that helps with bottom end power, but I highly doubt it. This is just wrapping. This is vinyl wrap here. It took me quite a while to do, but it's because the paint, when I was undoing these bolts, it kept scratching the paint there. So what I've done is just vinyl wrapped it so it's a bit more sturdy. Also, next thing, this is the alarm. So you can also see there where I've bolted the actual tail tidy on. I'll go back to that now. There's the two bolts there with washers, as you can see, and there's a protector, and there's the bolts coming through there. I had to use a different nut for that one there. Oh yeah, all this is there's a 9-pin connector plug down there, and literally just, this is a little 9-pin connector coming off it. You plug it in, plug this in, plug the speaker in, and then you're done. Easy. Change the indicators pretty much the same way. The indicators here, all you do is just take the old ones out, cut the wire, and just, you can solder it in, or you can just wrap the wires together and insulate it after. Changing the indicator is pretty easy. It's just plug it in to where the old ones used to be. It's quite common sense. And here's the new handlebars. These are Pro Taper handlebars. They fit quite well, however the bar ends didn't fit. But yeah, it gives it a much more of a sporty feel. You're not sat as high up like cruiser position. And also, these brake and clutch levers are from Wish, like the Chinese website where you get pretty much anything you want. Like, it takes a while to come, but these were only £15 and you needed a bit of filing and grinding to fit. Like you see here, it was a bit too short, so the bite on this is like there, literally like there. So that could probably need a bit of adjusting, but next thing is the headlight. I know a lot of people have asking, oh, how did you fit the headlight? Well, I've made the headlight so it can easily just be adjusted like that, and it stays where it is. It's not going to move once you put it there, but you can move it, but it is tight. What I've done is I've used some washers and some nuts to raise the actual dash so it could fit in better. And then how I've wired it in is the actual connector there that goes onto the back of the bulb, which is that thing which everyone would have seen if they've changed the bulb on the Venom. So that thing there, that's just on the back of the bulb. On this headlight that I bought, it didn't come with all it came is with a couple wires coming off the side like there. So what I did is I've ripped all the I'll show you the gold light, ripped all the wires out of back of this, and then I pretty much cut them up and reuse them on this. So what I did was, for the wires on that, I kept it into the same plug where you plug the headlights in, and then I just plugged the normal headlight actual lead into the back of the bulb, which it normally goes to, and the two wires that were meant for the side light on the stock one, which is in there, I just cut them and connected them to this side light here. Sorry, the video ended them for a second, but I'll continue. Yeah, they will just stick on LEDs. I just pretty much stuck them on the wires up here and plugged them into where I just said, just spliced them in. Also, you might have seen on the Lexmoto page that on some people's bikes, the rear taillight breaks, and only these three LEDs work, but they're really dim, and then just these went really dim as well. And what that was is I figured it out. I went over all the wiring all day, stripped the bike to pieces, and it ended up being these brown wires in here. There's two brown wires going into just one brown wire, and then where they were soldered together, or not soldered, they were like clamped together, it just broke. So I opened this up, and then I'd seen the brown wires that all looked good, pulled the brown wire and it just came out, connected it back up and it worked perfect. The only thing is when I turn the bike on, these three LEDs are constantly brighter than the rest for some reason, which doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, also I got these wing mirrors from eBay, and to be honest, they're shit. You can't really see anything out of them. I can never see behind me. So what I've ordered some bar end ones, which would probably hopefully be better. Finally, I've sprayed this here and used some tape. It's pretty dirty at the moment, so you can't really see it in its full glory, but yeah, I just use Halford's paint for all the paint all the way around. It's quite good. And there's some strips there, and also I've got LED indicator strips here, where you just splice these into the normal indicator lines, indicator wires, like I explained for the side lights, as you can see. Also, a thing I'd like to mention is the swing arm bearings on my bike were destroyed. I noticed the bike felt like it was leaning to the left, and it has been since a couple months after I got it. Went over a bump, wasn't even too bad. Afterwards it felt like my bike's been leaning to the left for a long time now. I'm not sure what it was. So I noticed that a few weeks ago that my wheel used to wobble. So I tried tightening the swing arm up, did nothing. Realised the swing arm bearings were completely gone. The worst bearings I've ever seen. So I couldn't find any actual swing arm bearings in stock. So what I had to do is completely buy a new swing arm. And then I fitted that a few weeks ago, I think it was now. So a few tips that I recommend you should do on the bike. You don't have to go to the same extent I have, but if you don't want to change the exhaust system and do things like that, I'd say the next best thing is the intake air filter, because it does sound nice. It sounds quite loud, like you've bought a new with a new exhaust anyway. I definitely suggest doing the 17 tooth sprocket, because it makes the bike not scream as much, depending on how you ride it, to be honest. Also, I would suggest, depending on what you like, or if you can be bothered, changing the tail tidy, because it does look a lot better than the old massive tail that used to be on it. Also, I do highly suggest upjetting from the stock jet, and always make sure the jets you're on are the right ones and it's tuned correctly. And that's about it really. I do suggest the exhaust wrapper as well, because it's only about £5 and it helps you retain heat in the initial bit of the exhaust better. Essentially, apparently, I don't know if it's true, but apparently it gives you better initial heat when you start off. So apparently it gives you better throttle response, but it's probably not true. It's only a bit of exhaust wrap. I don't see how it'd do that. But finally, the thing I suggest quite a lot as well is dropping the front suspension and getting new handlebars. Makes the bike feel or handle much better. it's not that it doesn't handle well in the first place, it's just 10 times better if you drop it. And it also looks a bit better, looks lowered, it looks nicer, because you can tell that it looks a bit lower. Obviously with it being on the centre stand you can't really tell, but it just looks more even and flat. I mean, if you lower it, it's only about 18mm, but it does help. On the bars as well, you make it a much more of a sport bike, like comfort, and it like how you sat, and it's still just as comfortable, if not more comfy. But if anyone is to get an exhaust for this bike, probably the Lextech ones are good. Yeah, this is just an MGK spark plug cap. All you do is, this is pretty simple. There's a HT lead, just normal wire. It's got a little, where the wire's cut off, can't think of the word for it now, but it's just the copper end of the wire, where all the different strands of the copper is. That'll be exposed at the end. When you take the old one off, you literally just screw it off, and then for the new one, the same thing, you just screw it back on. It's quite simple. Apparently it's better because with the old ones, the stock ones, apparently the spark was somehow getting to the metal because it had a metal casing and not sparking properly, and that sometimes it wouldn't idle properly. I did see people saying that stuff did happen. I didn't have any problems with that for mine, but I thought a bit better reliability, a bit better looks. This is just a normal NGK spark plug, which is I'll put what spark plug it is in the description. Also, I will recap everything quickly before I end the video, because there's a few aspects which I want to cover a bit more. Also, here I'll explain how I actually fitted the headlight. Obviously this is where the old brackets used to be for the stock headlight. It used to have a bracket coming down here. Have this, I actually reused some of the brackets for the indicators. You just come down here, have a little bracket here for the old headlight where you screw it in, have one up here, one down here for the old headlight. So one around there, and one around here somewhere, and the old headlight just be like that, and then the indicators would be a bit in. And then when I first got this, it's very dirty, but when I bought this mount, and then what I did is when I got the headlight, I drilled through the headlight here, because obviously I didn't want to use either of these, because if I just put one thing in, and I'd have to buy two, then I'd have to get one to there, one to there. I thought it'd be better if I made my own hole there. Yeah, I vinyl wrap this because I didn't really like it being silver, because I put these black and this, so obviously as you can see I'm trying to get rid of the silver colours. And also I'll go into a bit more detail on the exhaust now. This is the Lexmoto XTRS downpipe, because the Venom ones were never coming in stock, and then when they finally did come in stock, probably 2 weeks after I got this, apparently they didn't fit properly anyway. Or these XTRS ones, like that from the Lexmoto XTRS, they fit fine. Obviously there used to be a big bolt thing here, like a big cylinder. I don't know what that was for, but I cut that off because you could still fit it without it, but it was just in the way and it didn't look nice. So I just cut that off. You can't see anything now. And you can see all my zip ties for the wrapping. Probably should have backfolded it there because of the frame, but oh well. Yeah, and obviously it's a bit dirty, ignore all the dirt, and this link pipe's not very shiny, it's just brushed stainless steel. But yeah, this exhaust, I got it for £50 off eBay. It's off a Kawasaki ZX-XR or something. And it's I did have the Danmoto one, and I had a lot of problems with that exhaust initially, because I couldn't get the jetting right at all, because when I first bought it, when it has no baffles in, it ran amazing, perfect, but obviously it was too loud because it was straight through pipe and there's no wadding baffling or anything. So I got made custom baffles for it, and then ever since then it just never ran right. I was either losing mid-end or I was losing bottom end, depending on how I jetted it. So I ended up swallowing my pride, even though I really did like the look of it, and getting this for 50 quid when really it's meant to be 250 quid brand new. So I got myself a bargain there. This started second hand off eBay. Luckily no one else bidded on it. Yeah, and also you'll see here, as it's a foam filter, I noticed if you're driving in dual carriageways in the rain and things like that, these tend to get wet, like through, you know, spray. So one time I went to Three Sisters, the racing event, for where you can take your bike and go and have a go around the track. I went there with my mates and it ended up pouring it down. It got cancelled and everything. But initially, went on the way there, I was a bit worried because with it being a foam filter, it's pretty much just a sponge. And then when I got home, I noticed that had a look and it was a bit wet. So what I did was I put this little shield, so obviously all the spray coming when you're driving on, it's pretty much like a motorway the way there, so all the spray which you get when the road's soaking isn't going to get to the filter. This is all covered up. There's openings down here, but no water will end up getting to that anyway because it's got the rear hugger, so no water's going to get to that now, unless the only way water does get to it is when the side panel's on. Water tends to drip off there and go through, so I put a bit of sealant on the inside of this here, so it makes a seal around there when I put it on, so that's quite good. I've removed the sensor for the side stand because that caught me out so many times. Thought my bike wasn't starting me because it was from on the side stand, or the bottom was stuck in when it shouldn't have because it was dried out. So I just removed it. I'll show you that. The bike's started. So it still runs even if it's down. Just gotta be extra careful that it's always up when you want to go on a ride. But yeah, I'll say these bikes aren't really meant to be the fastest 125s there is, but with my bike group I can easily keep up with the YZFs and the CBRs. Obviously on the top end they do pull away a little bit because they do have better top end, and that's given because they're fuel injected, but I do keep up with them everywhere other than top end. Like even on top end they pull away a little bit, but it's not even that much. On the normal roads, really depends on how you ride and how good of a ride you are, but say the same person riding, I keep up with the higher up standard of 125s quite well now, and I know these bikes tend to lack in power compared to the YZFs and things like that. So yeah, I find that I do keep up with them quite well. I'll give you a shot of the light. So it's quite bright, which is good. That's a Philips Diamond Vision bulb or something, I think. These are just indicators off eBay, like £6. Probably not the best things on the planet. So yeah, there's a little baffle that came out with Dan Moto. It still sounds quite loud with it. And also another thing is you do need to do quite a bit of cutting. I said before, like I think I missed out before when I was speaking about the tail tidy. I'll recap on that a little bit. I've also put a sheet of plastic in the box there for the L plate because that kept snapping off, like 2 times a week they'd snap off. So what I did is obviously I took the metal bracket out like I said before, and then there's a lot of plastic, as you know, like there used to be a lot of plastic coming all the way out back here. I just cut it up into the bits that I wanted pretty much, and I wanted this, so I cut that off. It's more common sense. I can't explain it unless I'm with you doing it. It's common sense really. It's not hard. You just need to take it apart and cut it up to what you want, what plastic you want to have there, and cut a little hole in the bottom, fit your actual tail tidy, which is this bit here, starts from there, goes around, fit that in there. You can see the indicator bolt on thing, which is just going through the plastic. You can see the inside of the toolbox that used to be there, which I cut off with a hot knife. Yeah, ordered these to eBay for a couple quid. But it's more common sense. I can't really explain it unless I'm with you doing it with everything off. But yeah, these were just spliced into the actual circuit for the indicators, so that's not too hard. This is the upgraded reinforced stronger thing Lexmoto brought out, the gear shifter. You know, the other scrawny one they always used to break, they were commonly known for breaking. This is the new one. Mine never broke, but it was just loose. Even this has gone a bit loose, but it's better than the old one. Shifts a bit better now. The bike is a bit dirty at the moment, but doesn't matter. Everyone needs to know that's the on position for fuel, and that is the reserve, and then this is off. Make sure when you're doing any carb adjustments, taking the cylinder out, or not really the cylinder, or doing the jets or anything, you've got to turn that off, otherwise it'll just piss fuel out everywhere. And you've got to make sure when you're putting the carb back on, you're not catching the float on anything, because I ran into a problem a few times when I was putting new jets in. The float would get stuck at the top position and just piss fuel out the bottom here and the side all the time. So you just got to make sure you put the bowl on there quite gently and make sure you don't catch it or anything. But that seems to be about it. The rim tape cost me £15, but I ended up, it's quite hard to put on when I first did it, so £15, it would have worked for the whole thing, but I used too much and I had to spend another £15 or more rim tape, so that's 30 quid on rim tape there. And this wrap is optional really, it probably doesn't do much, I just think it looks a bit better with the wrap. But I would say if you are changing the exhaust system, do change the air filter as well, because essentially you're making the bike have a high output of gas, and if you can't get enough gas in to keep up with the amount of gas going out, then it's still not going to run 100%. And also putting another intake on makes the bike sound a beast anyway, even without an exhaust system, so I don't see why you wouldn't. I don't see any downsides to it, apart from it's a little bit more maintenance. Obviously with these bikes it's suggested that you do quite a bit of maintenance on them anyway, which,
I've got an underlying,
to be honest, I do.
Maybe some sort of suspension. I've took all this off, made sure it's all tight. I've got some sort of problem where it feels like the bike's leaning to the left. It makes it feel like the handlebars are bent, even with the new handlebars, but the wheel is centered to the handlebars, so it is straight. I've only ever come off this bike once because I ended up getting oil on my front brakes, and then I pressed my front brakes, the oil, nothing was happening because of the oil, and suddenly the oil's dried up. Front brake locked up, came off going depth 40, about 45 downhill, so that did mess up the wheel alignment to the handlebars, but I sorted that, it was fine. And then a few months later I went over this bump and it started feeling like it was leaning, but it doesn't bother me too much. Another thing with the carb, if you're doing any sort of mod, like I see people saying, oh I want a new exhaust, but then they just think they whack a new exhaust on and leave it at that. You can't just put an exhaust on, put an air filter on, do some sort of mod and not do anything. You've got to tune the carburetor, otherwise it'll just be lean and it might run alright. It's not going to be any good for the bike if you do run it without upjetting it or anything like that, because what you're doing it is essentially just tuning it to what mod you've done. And how I see it is, to modify an engine and make it more powerful, what you need to do is have as much flow as possible. So if you can maximize, like put an exhaust on your bike where it's completely free flowing, that there's no back pressure at all, maybe a little bit back pressure is needed, maybe it's sort of a myth, back pressure, but you need an exhaust system, free flowing exhaust system, so you can get enough air out as fast as you can and then get enough air in and fuel at the right ratio in to shove all of that extra fuel and air in and out of your engine, and therefore making more power. That's how I see it anyway, and that's how the same works with cars. Obviously on a car it's a bigger level, like you put an exhaust system on a car, you'll tune it correctly, you can gain 40 horsepower. On a bike it'll be 0.2 horsepower, so on a 125 anyway, so it's a little bit different. But also all these fuel lines and lines here and a fuel filter, all this in eBay, probably about £4 or £5. Also this is a brand new fuel tank, which I've took the side stickers off here and the sticker which it comes on it there, the instruction sticker. As when I first got the bike I ended up de-stickering it, the Lexmoto stickers, and I ended up messing it up, messed the paint up, tried fixing it, not being the best at paint, I ended up messing it up, so decided to swallow my pride and just get a new tank. So that's a new tank. It took about an hour and a half to fit, but it looked a lot better than the old one did. The paint was completely all chipped off, it had clear coat everywhere, it looked no good. Also, I'll explain to you the jets. Here's the jets for the carburetor. That's a pilot jet which doesn't even fit. That's my old carb. They're all pilot jets. And that's the pin. And this is what a normal jet looks like. This, I'm not sure what this is. This is a 114. This is the one I used to have in with my Dan motor when I had no baffles in. I was at a 114 jet. I'm at a 108 jet now, which seems really good actually. It runs perfect with this exhaust. Even though, because the Dan motor, it ran terribly without it. It splutter and everything when I put baffles in, and I was trying to tune it for months, nothing was happening. So that's why I got this. I think it's because the Dan motor was meant for a big bike, and obviously, even though this has come off a 1000cc Kawasaki, it's the same concept. It's just free flowing, isn't it? Even though I put a baffle in it yesterday just to see how it is, and it doesn't really do much anyway. It is quite loud. You can see on my other video, here's not much quieter than the Dan motor with baffles in, but it runs a lot better. It's not obnoxiously loud though, because it sounds deep, so no matter how loud it is, it doesn't sound stupidly loud, and it just runs a million times better than the Dan motor did. But apparently the Dan motors work quite well on bigger bikes, but obviously not this one. Also, yeah, so I'm running the 108 jet and it seems to be perfect. Check the spark plug, it's all completely fine. So I'm probably going to keep it at 108 for the time being. Might take it to 110, but with the baffling, I say 108 must be perfect because it runs perfect. There's no stuttering, nothing. Also, we'll go back to we'll revisit the EGR. So to get a bit more information on that. So there, it used to be a tube coming out here, and what you can do is you can block it off with a bolt or something in the tube, which I did do originally. You can see in my other video. But then I bought this little blanking plate off Chinese motorcycle parts and CMPO. I bought that. I think it wasn't for this bike, it was for a different one. I completely can't remember now, but it was like £1 for that. Just it looks a bit cleaner than a big tube hanging out of a bolt on the end of it. So you just unbolt this. The wire, obviously, if you're not changing your airbox, then what you can do is just pull the tube out the airbox. Well, it will go in about there from this EGR, which is up there. It will go into the airbox like around here somewhere, well it used to. I just pulled it out and blocked it up, and then there'll be a wire coming from a tube coming from the EGR up there into here. Just cut it off, block it, blind it off like that. That's all you can do. What it'll help with is all it does is it reuses exhaust gases. To be honest, you don't want to be, it's for the EU regulations on emissions and all that. Really, you don't want to be reusing exhaust gases on your intake. It's not going to be the best for the bike. You're doing your bike a favour by removing it. And it also adds a little bit of acceleration, a little bit of torque, so you can a little bit better throttle response, I think. Not much top end. Like, I've not gained much top end from doing any mods. It's the comfort of the bike and probably how it handles and how it gets up to the top end is what I've done. I've also got a 17 tooth sprocket on. Obviously you won't be able to see that, but 17 tooth sprocket in there, which that just makes the gears a little bit longer, but the only downside to it is it's meant to make your top end a bit faster, but I find that 5th gear doesn't do much. Like, it's like more of a cruising gear ever since putting it on, which I'm not too bothered really, because we used to just scream with the 16, so I'm not too bothered. The rest of the gearing's all stock. So also there used to be, for the old headlight, there used to be a little bar here for some of the headlight mounts. I've just removed that because it's not necessarily now, I've not got it. But what I'll do now is I'll quickly show you the bike running in this video. Show you what it looks like to be sat on the bike without the old headlight.
to me, when I first changed it, it looked bald. It looked like the bike suddenly become bald. It's strange. And that was a cold startup, so as you can see, it runs quite well. Also, another thing, what I noticed a few weeks ago is my back wheel was really hard to spin. It's like the brake pads were activated and had a bit of pressure on the disc, even though the brakes weren't on. So what I had to do is take the whole rear wheel off, clean the calipers, clean the pistons, and that sorted out. It spins quite freely now. You can hear it scraping on the disc a bit, but it's not too bad. I noticed a bit better torque after doing that because the wheel was that hard to spin, it was slowing the bike down. I do oil the chain like every week, so you can see that's quite wet in there. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you've got any questions or anything like that, then just comment on this video, or if there's something I've missed out that you'd like to know about or a bit more information on, just comment and I'll either do another video or I will just reply to the comment. Thanks for watching.